You know who it is. You know who we are. Shy City Boys, Jack Steele, Carl Liza. Welcome back, episode 6. Jack, how you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. It's still cold here in Chicago, unfortunately, but it was a great week of sports. A lot of money was won. Unfortunately, the team I root for didn't win. Baseball is in a terrible trajectory right now. Other than that, though, it's been good. But baseball is really looking bad, which is really making me sad. So could be
Yeah,
better, could be worse. But we got the All-Star weekend coming up. Hopefully, we're going to see a couple Chicago Bulls involved. We'll talk about that, obviously. But it's not a bad. It's just, I guess, it's just a normal February week.
yeah, absolutely. And just like you, I'm also a diehard baseball fan. So I'm pretty torn up about this lockout. But let's get into our first topic, which is the Chicago Bulls. How since our last podcast, they have gone 4-0. Again, they've beaten the Hornets in Charlotte, and then a 3-game home stretch. They beat the Timberwolves, they beat the Thunder, and they beat the Spurs, who they should have been all four, and they did. What do you think about it?
Yeah. I think the one against the T-Wolves we talked about last week can give the Bulls problems.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Lavine. Lavine had, obviously was dealing with some issues.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
And he didn't have his best game, but other guys were able to step up. Nicola, DeMar, obviously, Kobe White, Io, Javante Green. So good to see that. And then, this week we got Derek Jones Jr. back. Obviously, he's looking a little rusty coming out from an injury, but all these guys are starting to come back now that, we've been talking about the past weeks. Once they get healthy, here we go. And, I think we talked about it. They've gone on a three-game win streak without Lavine right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, 2-game. I think he played against the Hornets, right?
He played against
the T-Wolves this Friday. No, so they're on a 2-game win streak without Lavine. And I mean, I thought obviously the Thunder, that should have been easy. But I thought last night was a good win for them against the Spurs. This was, the same team with Lavine lost to the Spurs in San Antonio last time. And it's a good team in DeJounte Murray, Doug McDermott's looked very nice, Jakob Poeltl, Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker, the fourth, I believe. So I think it's just a good week for the Bulls. It's something they needed just because they've kind of been teeter-tottering between wins and losses. And that's understandable with kind of roster they're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
But I really thought, obviously, DeMar DeRozan had the greatest week for an Eastern Conference player, and we can talk about that all day long. But I really thought this week was a huge week for Kobe White. I think Kobe White was a guy who was in a lot of trade rumors, and for a guy like him, I'm sure he wasn't happy. I'm sure he wasn't that happy about being in trade rumors. I'm sure he wants to stay in Chicago and win a championship. And I think it's hard for any young player to be involved in trade talk. So I thought the way he came out after the deadline on Thursday was very impressive. I believe he had like the first 8 points in yesterday's win alongside 4 or 5 threes. And the same thing against the Thunder. His catch and shoot ability was was so nice for the Bulls. He's been a great piece for the Bulls. He had, I believe in a Thunder game, I'm looking at now, he has 4-6 from the 3-point line. This past month, I believe Adam Amin said it, he's like 20 of his last 37 from 3. So I think, obviously, Kobe White, in my opinion, is our best 3-point shooter right now. I think Lavine and him are pretty much the same in terms of 3-point shooting. I know, kind of a little drastic, and people obviously don't agree, but I mean, this month in February, 16 points a game, 50% from the 3-point line, averaging about 30 minutes. He's a guy, you got to remember, he was a starter. And all these new pieces come in, and they're basically saying, yeah, you're not starting. So for him to come out with that same work ethic and that attitude and to continue to contribute, like I said, we can talk about Vooch and DeRozan all week long. And, their contributions were amazing. And without them, we'd be nothing. But I really thought Kobe White really looked very impressive and very promising due to the fact that we are missing a lot of guards and that we're going to need this from Kobe White we can need it forever, but specifically towards March and towards the playoffs. But seeing him play this well makes you excited that when our team is fully healthy, he comes off the bench.
Absolutely. He's been a torpedo coming off the bench or starting for us. But I do want to talk about DeMar DeRozan for a second. I'm going to name you the players that have had 35 plus points on 50% shooting in 6 straight games. You ready for this list?
I think I know this list actually.
DeMar DeRozan and Will Chamberlain.
Oh yeah.
That's it. So if DeRozan does it one more time, he sets the record for all time.
Who's he got? I think he's got
five.
Kings tomorrow, right?
It is against the Kings at home, yeah.
Back. It's an enticing matchup for him.
Yeah. So it looks like he's gonna do it, but
don't jinx
it. Can't jinx it. But so also Zach Lavine, he went out with another knee injury. He says it has been feeling discomfort and clicking. What do you think about it?
Yeah, he's going to LA to see a specialist, the same one that repaired his ACL injury before joining the Bulls. Mm-hmm. He's already ruled out tomorrow. He's trying to participate in All-Star Weekend. You know, I think for Lavine, I don't think anything's bad. I think that the MRI came clean last time. Yeah. I think his body is going through a lot of wear and tear. You got to remember, you go back to last season, Lavine played almost every game. He played in the Olympics nonstop, and now he's here. So for Zach Lavine, who you got to remember is still a very young player, his body has gone through the most wear and tear ever, currently. So I think for Lavine, you need to rest up, man. I get it. You want to play out there. You want to help your team, help DeMar. You want to play an All-Star Weekend. But he's been saying the last 2 weeks, when we're 100% healthy, no one's going to beat us. No one's going to touch us. Well, he's got to be healthy too. I'm fine if the Bulls are like a 4 or 3 seed going into the playoffs. But if that means Zach Lavine goes in 100% healthy, because if we're number 1 seed in the East and we don't have Lavine, I don't give a crap. We're not going to do anything. But with Zach Lavine, we can take down anyone. So I think for Lavine, just rest, man. And DeMar was saying it too, that he just needs to cool down. I think he shouldn't play for that lesson. I don't think he should play for the next 2 weeks. I think you get the MRI, even if it comes clean. And you got to remember, he's dealing with back spasms as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the reason why he missed the majority of the games before this. We went to as well. So I think for him, his body's going through a lot. I think you just rest, go hang out with your wife, fiance, with girlfriend, whatever she is. Don't do too much though. But I think for him, it's just got to rest, man. I get it. He's a competitor, and I love that about him. But you got to look at this like the Bulls are going to be in the playoffs, and the Bulls are going to be a problem. But that doesn't mean anything without Zach Lavine. So
absolutely, I want to see him healthy as much as anyone else. But if he does play an All-Star Weekend, he has a chance to be the only player in history to win a dunk contest and a 3-point shootout.
See, I don't give 2 shits about that.
I don't care either, but that he said he wants to do that. So if he can do it, then he can. But if he can't, then he can't. If
he does do it, I'm sorry, but he's not smart. If he can't play Wednesday, tomorrow, why can he play Saturday night? I mean, I guess they're just shooting threes, but still, I mean, you're really going to rush back, and it's just unethical. Rest, man. Like, come on. I get it. You want to play and you're just out, but like, he's got it. And I get it. It's a contract year for him as well. And I think, we've seen that kind of what's the word? Like the kind of the risks that people take on contract years.
Yeah.
They want to be out. They don't want to be known as injured. But if you're Zach Lavine, you got lingering injuries. What do you think is going to happen if you keep putting wear and tear? And don't forget, Lavine had thumb problems to begin the year and played through that. So I think for him, dude, chill out, man. The Bulls got you. DeMar's going off. Vuk's looking nice. Kobe and Io are doing their parts at guard. Get healthy. And then before you know it, Caruso, P. Will. I mean, literally, like, if you're going to tell us you're going to envision if we're 100% healthy, I need you to be 100% healthy. I can't have you 70 or 80, man. Just rest. I think Billy Donovan's really big on him just resting. I don't think Billy Donovan's going to play him, really. I think even if Lavine's things come back, I think Billy Donovan's not going to play him at all. I really couldn't, and maybe minute restriction, but I just don't see any logical reasoning of playing Lavine. And I get it; he's a superstar. He makes the Bulls better, but I think we're in good hands right now. I know that we're going to lose games that we maybe should win when Lavine's out, but you got to look at the bigger picture with Lavine. Like, who's stopping us in 7 games? Like, come on.
Yeah. So speaking of bigger pictures, we had the biggest picture of the year in Super Bowl 56 on Sunday night. We had the Los Angeles Rams defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. It was you can say a back and forth game. It was a good game, I'll say. No flags for most of the game.
Yeah.
Brandon or someone from the Bengals celebrated who was inactive after a touchdown. That was like the biggest flag until
what the hell was that?
Vernon Hargreaves, I think it was.
He went to Florida.
Yeah, he inactive, runs onto the field after a touchdown and gets a penalty.
Yeah, dang.
Ridiculous.
That was if I were a coach, I might have punched him in the face.
But before we get into any of that, let's get into the stats. Let's start with the losers, unfortunately. Joe Burrow was 22 for 33, 263 yards and a touchdown, which is pretty good for the amount of times he got pressured, sacked, and all that stuff. Right? That's pretty good.
I was letting you continue.
Oh, Joe Mixon, he had 15 carries for 72 yards and a passing touchdown. He threw the ball to the leading receiver for the Cincinnati, my bad.
You almost had that transition.
I almost had it. T. Higgins, he had 4 receptions for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not bad. And then let's see. And then we had Jamar Chase. He didn't have a great game. He had 1 catch. Or no, he had 5 catches for 89 yards and no touchdowns. What do you think of the Cincinnati's offense that happened in the game before we get on to the Rams?
I thought Joe Burrow looked okay. I thought he was a little nervous too. He missed a couple of easy throws, in my opinion. Joe Mixon, I don't know why he was not out there at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I get it. P. Ryan or Perrine, whatever, is a better receiver.
P. Ryan
is a better receiving back. Man, that's Joe Mixon. Like, what are you doing? So
yeah,
that was confusing. I thought he looked good. Out of the back. I would have liked to see him more involved in a receiving game. I had him as 2+ touchdowns, so I would have liked to see him score 2 touchdowns. For T. Higgins, I'm not surprised. T. Higgins, absolute star. I think for Higgins, his biggest problem this year was just playing second fiddle to Jamar Chase. And I thought T. Higgins looked very good. I thought they maybe kind of got a cheap shot in the end zone on that one play at the beginning of the game. For Jamar Chase, it's tough to evaluate him because he is just so targeted by the defense. He is getting double teamed all the time. And he had that one play, a nice one-hand grab in the beginning of the game on Jalen Ramsey. And, obviously Chase would have wished to have a better game, but at the end of the day, I think it's hard for him, right? I mean, you got to remember, this is a guy who is still learning the NFL, and he's getting the same type of coverage guys like Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs are getting, and they're veterans. So I think for Jamar Chase, obviously getting this double coverage is going to help him evolve into a better receiver. But, I really thought this game, the reason why the Bengals lost was their O-line. I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah. They're gonna end up getting the second last pick in the first round because they made it to the Super Bowl, and in my opinion, take no one but offensive linemen the whole draft.
Well, I think this is going to be a heavy offensive line class. The quarterbacks aren't that good this year.
Yeah,
so
but we can talk about the draft later, but I agree.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that they had that choice last year. It was Penzie Swell, the tackle out.
Penei Sewell.
Whatever. I don't care. He plays for Detroit. Or Jamar Chase. So it was either you have all these weapons and you got to throw it quick, or you get protection and, not have the great or as good as weapons. And I don't think they made the Super Bowl without Jamar Chase anyway. So I think it was I think they made the right decision. Obviously, people are going to give them crap because they're not Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow got killed in the second half.
Yeah.
But I mean, that now they know what they need to do. They know that they need to improve their secondaries and improve their line, and that they have a very competitive football team at the end of the night. So I think there's really only two things that the Bengals need to focus on, and they're going to look, and they're still young. I mean, I think the oldest person was basically guys on their defense, almost like Von Bell, or so that's really it. I mean, they're a pretty young team, if I'm being honest.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the winning side, the Los Angeles Rams. Matt Stafford had completion rate was 26 for 40. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he got sacked twice. And then Cooper Kupp threw a pass to Stafford. It was the Philly special. Philadelphia made that special. Didn't catch it. It was a good, nicely thrown ball, but Stafford just didn't catch it. And then the Rams could not run the ball at all. Cam Akers had 13 carries for 21 yards. That's 1.6 average. Cooper Kupp had 1 rush for 7 yards, and then Stafford even ran the ball a couple times for 6 yards. And then on the receiving side, Cooper Kupp, he was always gonna have his day. 8 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham, 2 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. He caught the first touchdown of the game, but unfortunately went out with a knee injury, and we now know it is a torn ACL. Unfortunately for him, he was having a great season. He had as many touchdowns in the 7-8 games in LA as he did for 2 seasons in Cleveland. What do you take about this offense? What's your take?
I don't think Matt Stafford had that good of a game. Thought he missed a lot of throws. He did good when he needed to. The running game was non-existent as well, obviously. Last week, we had our top 5 receivers list, and I put Cooper Kupp in that top 5. And you looked at me like I just killed you. And now I think you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't get it. How, I mean, I guess because he had Eli Apple on him, but
Eli Apple, come on.
I don't get how he gets open so much. Here's the thing. He did nothing until that last drive. The fact that he had the ability to just snap his fingers and get open every play.
It was wild.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm very impressed by him. I mean, I literally might take him in the first pick if I have him fantasy next year. I just don't get how he gets that open. Even with Odell out, and it was that last drive was. I had the Cooper Kupp under 101 receiving yards. So I felt so good. And then he was kept getting the ball, and kept getting the ball. And I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. He didn't get over 100 yards. So we're good. But I mean, man, that last drive by Cooper Kupp was singly one of the greatest drives I've seen by a receiver on TV that I've watched. For Odell, Odell was primed for a big game. You saw it early on, touchdown.
Yeah.
Unfortunate to see him hurt. Obviously, like we said, a torn ACL. I really do wonder what the market's going to look like for him now. I mean, are teams going to flake on him just because of this injury?
I have a feeling that he's going to sign a 1-year deal with the Rams.
I don't know. I don't think so. I really think he could go somewhere. I really think, because don't forget, the Rams still have Robert Woods coming back.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. I think Odell's asking price might be a little high for the Rams. And the Rams are on a Super Bowl honeymoon at the moment. But I think when you look at logistics at the end of the day, is it really worth it? Because now you're going to probably have to replace Aaron Donald, who might be retiring.
I was going to talk about him right now.
You're going to need a new safety because Eric Weddle is gone. I mean, he was good anyways. But still, I don't think Odell returns. I think his market's going to be a lot, but that's the question. Who's going to be that team to take a chance on him, if not the Rams? So I think Odell is going to be a very intriguing free agency like buzz for this upcoming summer.
Absolutely. And of course, we'll talk about him soon when we do our free agent target list or whatever, like upcoming. But I did want to talk about that LA defense. Aaron Donald showed up on that last drive, showed up the whole second half. He was dominant. You saw him after he got that last play. He took his helmet off, pointed to his hand, "Give me my ring," just like he did in the NFC Championship game. Do you think he will retire?
I do. I think he's a Hall of Famer, obviously, and he really made it clear that he was only playing for one more thing, and that was a ring, and now he's got it. I don't know. That'd be tough because it's like he's still good. He's not like not like he's decaying. And
only been in the league for 8 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Man, that's tough.
7 Pro Bowls.
Maybe if they give him more money, he'll stay. But I think he'd be perfectly fine with just coasting. I think he's fine. I think if the NFL like never existed anymore, I mean, he'd be satisfied. He's got the Defensive Player of the Year awards, Pro Bowls, all NFL honors, and now a Super Bowl. I mean, I think for him, he's going to be. I think the only thing that might make him come back is trying to defend that Super Bowl. I
see what you're saying, and I honestly think he's done.
I think though, I think that's going to be his only like not mindset, just like his only like I can't even think.
Reason.
Yeah, I guess I was kind of going for more of a grammatical word, but it's more I basically think that's his pure reason if he comes back next year is to defend that Super Bowl title. And
now I have a question for you.
Okay,
sorry to cut you off, but do you think that's why Brady gave it one more year to defend the title?
No, I think that could be a possible case because he was fine with retiring after he lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Or not in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs. So I think when you're an athlete and you have that competitive edge inside of you, you want to defend that title. I mean, Carl, you're a wrestling fan. I mean, you know how big, I mean, obviously it's fake and scripted, but like
scripted, fell down.
Fake. But my point being is, I mean, obviously they put a lot of hype around title rematches,
Mm-hmm.
just like in the UFC, let's say Whitaker would have beat Izzy this past week. Izzy would have wanted that rematch ASAP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then if he would have lost again, then he would probably call it quits, or not quits, but like, fought someone else. So I think like you said with Brady, it's kind of like, if you're not going to ride into the sunset with that Super Bowl ring, I think with players who are speculated to retire, I really do think their motive, that's the word, motive, is to come back and defend that title. And if they don't, I think they just retire. I don't know if that's the real reason why Brady did. I mean, Brady is a lot older than Donald too. So that could be something. But I think if Aaron Donald does come back, it's just because he wants to try and defend the title. And if they did lose next year, I mean, who knows? Maybe he might be more motivated. It depends if they made the playoffs and they're right there, he might be more motivated to come back. Well, if let's say the Rams don't make the playoffs, he might just be like, I'm done, So I think it's up and down. I won't be surprised whether he does or doesn't. I hope he doesn't. Terrific player, terrific athlete, fun to watch, and he's just a good personality overall. So we'll see. A lot of important decisions are going to be made with free agency and retirement. So
absolutely. So once again, congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams on their Super Bowl win. And Jack, let's get on to the final segment of the episode.
What is that?
Our top 5. Our top 5 at positions. Last week we did quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers.
We should probably do basketball now since we're in basketball season.
Okay, we can do.
One position. We can do all 5.
We can do all 5. Yeah, we were gonna do starting pitchers in baseball, but
Let's
we'll
see
say
if
that for
baseball
another
actually
episode
happens
because we're
first.
sad about baseball. But yeah, let's do our top 5 at each 5 positions in
And so
basketball.
point guards would be first.
Point guards. Go ahead.
Start off, Carl.
No, you can go first.
All right. So number 5, I have Trae Young. I think Trae Young.
Oh, wow.
Trae Young is one of the best guards in the country, or I said like he was in college, and one of the best players in the NBA. He's got a lethal 3-pointer. Really good at passing the basketball, and sometimes I wonder how better he would be if he was on a better team or with another superstar. So Trae Young's number 5.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but I'm gonna have number 5 as Trae Young also.
Why did you sound so like surprised when I said it? Then you're like,
I
weird.
had to build it up, man. I had to build it up. But yeah, like he's a deadly shooter. He can't really defend, but that shooting makes up for it. He's Steph Curry 2.0 in my opinion right now, just not to the height of him right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so for my number 4,
oh yeah, you're up.
I'm gonna have Chris Paul.
Okay.
He's still a point guard. He's on the best team in the league. He's commanding that offense, leading on defense. His basketball IQ is through the roof. He's great.
My number 4 is Ja Morant.
Ooh.
I think Ja Morant is just a freak of nature this year. 26 points a game, almost 7 assists, and he doesn't shoot the ball like threes. He drives inside like it's crazy. He's just been playing very well. I mean, he's got the Grizzlies at a 40-18 record. So I think this year has really propelled Ja Morant to that top 5 in terms of point guard positioning. This year, going into this year, I would have never said that. But the way he's been playing right now, I definitely see him as a top 5 point guard.
Number 3 for me is Ja Morant.
Okay.
So just everything you said, I agree with.
All right, my number 3 is Damian Lillard. I think we forget.
I think we have the same list going forward.
I think we forget about Damian Lillard and how good he is. He's hurt right now. The way he can shoot, the way he can pass, the way he can drive inside. When D Lill's going on, it's Dame time, and Dame time is a time you don't want to know about. So, yeah, Damian Lillard's my number 3.
My number 2 is Steph Curry.
Wait a sec. Oh, wait, who's your number 1?
We'll get there.
Okay.
But Steph Curry, after breaking the all-time 3-point leader, the fucking record,
It's been bad.
He's not been good. He's still great. He's still the greatest shooter of all time, but I don't personally think he's the best point guard so far this year. Who do you have at number 2?
My number 2 is Curry. That's why I was asking for your number 1.
Oh, okay.
My number 2 is Steph Curry. I've never liked him, and I just think there's another guy who is labeled as a point guard who.
Yeah, I don't like him as a point guard, but he's a point guard.
So who's your number 1?
Luka.
Yeah,
Luka's number 1. Even though I don't personally think he's a point guard, they have him as a point guard.
He's a point guard. He's
22 years old, can do anything you want on the floor. And I know some people say he's toxic, but he's just unbelievable.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with the toxic part, but
that's what I've heard.
He's my number 1. The guy literally is a triple-double machine on the court, and he actually makes his shots unlike other guys like Russ. So I think Luka, he's just looking for that next superstar to join him, and hopefully it goes well. But I think Luka's definitely the best point guard in the league.
Absolutely. So let's go on to shooting guards. Jack, who do you have at number 5?
Shooting guards is a really tough list. And the reason is there's only like 7 or 8, but they all can be considered in top 5 positioning.
Mm-hmm.
So number 5, I've got Donovan Mitchell.
Oh.
I love Donovan Mitchell. I think what's underrated, he's averaging almost 26 points a game this year. You never hear anything out of Utah. So I think Donovan Mitchell deserves a lot more respect. He's obviously got the Jazz at one of the best records in the NBA, has had them at one of the best records for a couple of years. Spida Mitchell is a top 5 shooting guard for me.
I have Bradley Beal at number 5.
Okay.
He's on a not a great team, but he still puts up crazy numbers. It's because he shoots a lot more than everyone else, but he's still putting up numbers.
Okay.
Who's your number 4?
Number 4, I go with Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal's been dealing with a lot of injury problems as of late as well. Obviously, he's out for the year this year. He's never been outside of place other than Washington, which I kind of feel bad about. But I mean, I thought he looked very nicely this year. I mean, this team this year wasn't that bad. I mean, it has a nice supporting cast in Montrezl Harrell, Spencer Dinwiddie. Those both are traded, obviously. Kuzma.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he looked very nicely, and obviously him and John Wall are a nice duo. So I'll put Beal at number 4.
Yeah. Before we move on, I think we did talk about it, but he does have an option to have a contract extension at the end of the year. He's also a free agent, so if he wants winning, he can go to another team. But if he wants that bag, he has the option to stay long term. So my number 3 is Zach Lavine. I know Chicago. I know he should be number 1, but the injury concerns this year, he's a monster. One of the best teams in the league, but the injuries scare me. But I think he'll be okay.
My number 3 is Devin Booker.
Okay.
I think Devin Booker is a bright star in the NBA. Doesn't get the respect he deserves. I believe he's averaging like 27 points a game. Obviously, he's helped. The Suns be the best team in the NBA. I think he does have some inconsistency problems when it comes to scoring. I think he's really high. I really think like there's just times where Devin Booker is really bad in terms of scoring, and that's been multiple times this year. So I'll put him at number 3. I have a feeling I know who your number 2 is, though.
My number 2 is Devin Booker.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Same reason as you said. Who's your number 2?
Zach Lavine.
Okay.
Zach Lavine is number 2. It's Zach Lavine, man. It's Zach Lavine. That's all I gotta say. Like he's a superstar.
Absolutely. So you might have the same number 1 as me.
Oh, we probably do.
Number 1, James Harden.
James Harden.
Okay. Even though the whole controversy of, I didn't want to go to Brooklyn, Philly was my number 1 option, he's still a baller. He can still drop the ball, score whenever he wants to. He's a facilitator now. He can do everything on the court you need.
Okay.
What do you have to add?
I mean, yeah. Number 1.
Absolutely.
If Chris Paul wasn't hurt, he would have been a champion.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's all I got.
So,
that's all I got on that one.
Let's go to next position, small forward. Jack, who do you have at number 5?
Number 5. That's tough because, like, I think once again there's a lot of small forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of ones that go in small forward that are actually power forward
category. But I'm specifically using small forwards. Like I'm not, using like if they can fit. I'm going off what their position says because I'm a realist. This is tough. Like, man.
Well, I have mine.
Yeah, you go first because I'm trying to.
Chris Middleton.
Okay.
Chris Middleton is my number 5. He's the number 2 to Giannis. He's an all-star again. He can score. He's lights out. He plays defense. He can pass the ball when he needs to. He's just an all-around great player.
Number 5 is going to be BI, Brandon Ingram.
Ooh, okay.
He's been a very nice bright spot out of Duke, over 20 points a game. Obviously, he doesn't have the greatest supporting cast right now with Zion out. So I'm a big fan of BI. I think he's kind of I've always called him Kevin Durant-esque. He's in college. I always said he's like the next Kevin Durant. So I've always had high, expectations for BI, and I think he's doing a very good job this year. So I'll give BI to number 5.
Okay, there you go. Number 4 for me is Gordon Hayward. He's had a very
What?
He's had a very underrated season in Charlotte, but he's putting up career numbers. I know he's been out a little bit lately, but he's helping that team so much. You're laughing, but it's true.
Because there's a better small forward on the team.
What?
Miles Bridges?
What? Who cares? I have Gordon Hayward as my number 4.
Oh, there's a better. He's not even the best small forward on the team.
That's my opinion. Who's your number 4?
Number 4, Anthony Edwards.
Oh, okay.
God, this guy, Anthony Edwards, is a freak in nature. I was watching him against the Bulls. I know the Bulls don't have the greatest defense right now, but I mean, man, this guy's first step is elite. Improving shooter every year. Well, I mean, only 2 years, but he's better than I would have expected. And I wasn't. I always thought LaMelo was better than him. I still do. But I mean, man, Anthony Edwards has looked really good this year. He's really helped the Timberwolves be a promising young team. So I got Ant as my number 4.
Not a bad pick. My number 3, Jimmy Butler.
Oh, I forgot about Jimmy Butler.
Best player on the best team in the East right now. He does everything. He can score. He can kind of shoot. He can play defense. He can pass the ball. He can do everything.
Number 3.
Number 3
is Jimmy Butler.
Oh! I thought you just said you forgot about him.
I did, and then I thought about it. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. He's not a guy that's going to average 30 points a game, but he's a guy who's going to be a triple-double almost. I mean, like you said, he went to the NBA Finals 2 years ago. It's a very young team. This year, he had the best team in the Eastern Conference, not for long, but Jimmy G Buckets has had himself a very nice career, and these last couple of years in Miami have really evolved this game. So yeah, I'll put Jimmy at 3.
Absolutely. Who's your number 2?
Jason Tatum.
Oh wow.
I really like Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum gives me Kobe Bryant vibes. The way he plays, especially in the mid-range game. Both guys who can score on all facets on the floor, the 3-point, the mid-range, inside for 2. I think that he kind of has a bad rep in Boston. I think that obviously I don't think Boston's the right fit for him, honestly. But I mean, I just remember watching him back when Cleveland and then would go back out in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he dunked on LeBron and literally stared at him.
In his rookie year.
Yeah, so Tatum's game has evolved. Really good small forward, and I think he's definitely number 2.
Okay, that's where things messed up for me because I have him as a power forward.
No, he's listed as a small forward.
Shit. Okay, I'm putting him on the power forward list. I don't care.
Okay.
Number 2 for me, LeBron James. He's what?
Who's your number 1 now?
You'll see. Oh my. LeBron, he does everything. He can do everything, but injuries are holding him back. I know he's 37. I know he's not going to play every single game, but my number 1 guy is playing almost every single game. So.
Okay, who's your number 1?
Who's your number 2?
I told you, Jason Tatum.
Oh. Number 1, DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, he's number 1. In my eyes, he's going to be the MVP. He just does everything.
That might be a little too much. You got to remember, the MVP is a popularity contest too.
That's true. Who's your number 1?
DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Literally, DeMar. He's just it's indescribable the way he's been playing this year. I mean, you just watch him and you don't get it. Like, it's like, how? I'm not saying he's better than Michael Jordan, but he's playing like Michael Jordan right now. I mean, DeMar doesn't shoot threes or make threes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for him to feed off the mid-range game, feed off the inside scores and the free throws, and still put up. I mean, he's got what, like you said, that streak on you were talking about. It's number one worthy, and I think that DeMar is definitely one of the best small forwards in the country, in the NBA, and I think that I hope this continues because we really need this for the playoffs.
Absolutely. So next position, power forward. I have my number 5 already, if you don't mind.
No, you go ahead, Carl.
I'm gonna have Julius Randle as my number 5.
We should tell New York fans on that one.
He's been up and down, but he's still a great shooter or a great scorer. He can still play defense, and he's helping New York as best as he can. And so far,
is he though?
I think he is. I think he's just messing around with the Knicks fans.
I don't know.
Who's your number 5?
See, this is tough. Power forwards. I mean, they're just so. So this is like when healthy, right? Or just right now?
Right now.
All right.
Because I have a feeling I know who you're going to say, but I don't have him on my list because of the injuries.
Okay, number 5, I'll go Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, I was thinking he's my honorable mention.
I think he's really good. I think that it sucks for him that he went from the Pacers to the Kings, so on 2 non-contender teams. So, I mean, if he ever joins a really good team, I really think he could shine.
Hey, I said I like that Sabonis and Fox duo.
No, you did. So I see Sabonis as a top 5 power forward specifically. So I like
it. I like the take.
Okay.
Who's your number 4?
Number 4, Pascal Siakam.
Oh.
I think Pascal has done an amazing job in Toronto. He's won a ring there. He's really been a bright spot for the Raptors, especially this year, alongside Van Vliet, Trent, and Barnes. And Pascal might be named an all-star if Zach Lavine doesn't compete. So you might have that going for them as well. I just think he's a really good player. I mean, he has great size for a power forward, very fast, can occasionally step out and hit 3, but he's a good finisher at the rim, and he's got long, lengthy arms. So yeah, I'll put him at number 4.
Okay. My number 4 is Draymond Green.
Ugh.
What?
I'm not a fan of Draymond.
Oh my. He's carrying that Warriors team when Curry's not running it. He's doing everything. He's an all-star again. He's everything you need in a power forward and more.
And more.
And more. My number 3 is Jason Tatum. I know you have him as small forward. I have him as a power forward. Mm-hmm. But Jason Tatum, great all-around player. He needs to pass the ball a little bit more because there's no playmakers on that team. But he's my favorite player in the league. So Jason Tatum.
My number 3 is Anthony Davis.
Oh, wow.
I think obviously we talk about injury problems. Anthony Davis is right there. But let's not forget who Anthony Davis is. This guy's a NBA champion, all-star, all-NBA guy. I mean, come on. This guy's he's a guy who's dominant down low in the paint, can occasionally, like Siakam, can step out and hit the 3. I like Davis as a top 3 power forward.
Okay. Who's your number 2?
Number 2 is Giannis. Giannis, obviously we all know about Giannis. Greek freak, NBA champion, unfortunately, can do everything besides shoot the basketball or free throws. Freakishly athletic, fast. I mean, power forward. He's put on a lot of weight, which helps him now. Now he doesn't really get bullied down low, and it's really hard to go one-on-one against him, defensively or offensively. So I have him at number 2.
My number 2 is Kevin Durant. The Knicks are slipping right now. We all know what he can do, and it's a team effort, of course, but the team's slipping right now. They just got off a 9 or 10 game losing streak. 11 game losing streak. So Kevin Durant's my number 2. My number one.
Oh, you're up. Okay.
My number one. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Doing everything for the Bucks. He can do everything he wants. He can shoot, just not consistently. He can shoot free throws, just not consistently. He just needs to work on that, and he'll be a perfect player.
So I'm going to use that when people ask if I can shoot in basketball. I'm just going to say I can, just not consistently.
Hey, there you go.
Kevin Durant's easily number one. That's not even a thought. Like, come on now. When healthy, when everyone is healthy, Kevin Durant's the best basketball player on the planet. He's a 7-footer who can shoot threes, shoot twos, mid-range, inside, and play defense occasionally. He's a lengthy dude, can always put on some more weight. I'm sorry, but if Kevin Durant's got the ball, I don't think anyone's going to stop him. He can go wherever he wants. He can make it wherever he wants. So it is no question that Durant is the best power forward in the NBA.
Okay. Let's go on to the fifth and last position, centers.
Start it off, Carl.
I'll start it off. Number 5 for me is going to be Jared Allen.
Oh, I know you like him.
Yes, I like him on Brooklyn. I like him on Cleveland. He's just a great guy to have down low. Rebounds, blocks, does whatever you need, does the dirty work. Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Nikola Vukovic.
Oh.
I love me some Vuk. I think Vuk is such
Nikola.
I think he's a double machine. He's one of the best 3-point shooting centers in the NBA. Obviously, his defense and his energy sometimes does lack, but at the end of the day, in that position, he is such a huge part to the Bulls, but also to his centers in general. He's a really good player. And, when he does get physical, when he does go inside, like he has very nice footwork and good moves. So I have him as a top 5 center.
There you go. Who's your number 4?
Number 4 is going to be Rudy Gobert. The Eiffel Tower.
I think our list is going to be the same.
He's one of the best defensive centers in the NBA, obviously. What is it? How many times has he gone? 3, 4? It's only like 3 or 4 times, I believe. But, when I think of a guy like Rudy Gobert, I think of a Dennis Rodman. I think of a Tim Duncan. I think of a Kevin Garnett. Not as offensively skilled as Tim Duncan, but a guy who, if you go inside, he's probably going to block you. And a guy who's able to pull down rebounds, but he can also finish inside. That's just not his game. But yeah, Rudy Gobert is number 4 for me.
Rudy Gobert is number 4 for me. My number 3, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Hey, we have the same.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, who's your number 2? Who's number 2?
Joel Embiid.
Okay, we have a difference then.
Really?
Yeah. So why is Joel number 2 then?
Joel, we saw him in person. He can score at will. He can move he can't really move the ball, but he can do whatever he wants with it and everything. He can score. He's got the defense, but I think the number 1 is better than him.
So Jokic is obviously my number 2.
That's blasphemy.
It's nothing against him.
Blasphemy.
It's nothing against him, and obviously Joel Embiid's my number 1. I don't know, man. Just watching that game in person really made me change my outlook on Joel Embiid.
Really?
I think when Joel Embiid is there, this guy puts up 40 points and like 20 rebounds. Like, I get it. Jokic is more all around better, but Joel's a better shooter in my opinion. Joel's a better finisher inside, in my opinion. Joel's a better rebounder, in my opinion. I got to give Joel number 1. I'm just so fascinated by his game. He's my favorite for MVP right now, actually. So Joel's my number 1 center at the moment. It's not like it's it's very close. But if I didn't see Joel in person, I probably would have said Jokic at number 1. But watching him in person, I was in awe. I couldn't even be mad because he was you couldn't do anything. Like, he was just scoring, like you said, at will. So
yeah, you couldn't really stop him. But the reason I don't like Joel as number 1, it's just looked like he didn't want to be there. Just his mood, his presence. When we were watching the game live, he didn't go out for shoot arounds.
Well,
He didn't
Carl,
hang
I
around
mean,
players.
you go out and you probably don't want to have sex with a girl, but you still do anyways, right?
What?
What? You get what I'm saying, right?
Eh,
That's the same thing. I mean, you go out, you might not look, or what's it called? You're gonna go out, maybe you don't have that energy that you think you should, but you're still gonna do it. Jalal, maybe he's just a very introvert guy. You know,
maybe, but I need a guy who with like some charisma and stuff. That's just me. That's just my
well,
personal
this
opinion.
is the NBA based on skill, not the WWE based on promos.
Settle down. Settle down. Before we get into that chit chat, that's the end of the episode. Jack Seal, Carl Liza, Shy City Boys, episode 6. End.